world like a fairy tale. And no, not in the icky-gooey-lovey-dovey way. Her stories are happy, preppy, funny, and sometimes mysterious and murky. But every story is an insight, a perspective, a truth. She's going to perform Arun.
Okay. Arun. Arun walked home from school every day, alone. He liked his friends and played with them all day, but the walk from school to home was his journey to make. Why? Because he took a lot of detours, and his friends were too hungry to accompany him every day. His mother worried when she saw him returning later than all the other boys. She asked him why he was late. He said he walked slow. His mother worried. So one day, she walked to school and watched him leave. She was curious. She had been a kid once. She had a world she lived in, when touching every railing, every wall on the way home was necessary, deciding which route to school she should take. There weren't men she was afraid of, it was the dogs. She loved her white uniform. She was proud of being prefect. In school, obedience was the ultimate duty. Being a kid was nice. He walked like her, with a skip and a hop, like there was some jazz playing. He stopped to stare at flowers in the cracks of stones and walls with drawings. He removed a pencil from his pencil box and drew a house. He loved drawing on walls. A house was proof. The house was made with 2 windows and a door. Also, a mountain and a sun between them. Then he walked some more, stopped near a puddle of water and pretended he was fishing. She laughed. Then he went some more, stopped near a bunch of elderly vegetable vendors, smiled at them, took a free carrot and walked along. She was worried. The carrot was unwashed. Maybe he'd fallen. Then he sat down on a ledge and dangled his legs, then looked up straight at her. What are you doing? Nothing. I came to school to pick you. Teacher said you left, so I was walking home. What are you doing here? Nothing. Waiting for you. You shouldn't wander alone. I am the adult here, kid. Okay, if you say so. And then he jumped from the ledge and held her hand. He wasn't like her. He didn't need his mother as much she had needed hers, and as much she needed him. But he needed something else, she realized. He needed mountains and the sun, he needed the water, he needed old wise men around him. This cold world, with manufactured mountains, blocked sun, artificial lakes and broken families, was not enough for him. So he was creating his own.
The article is written by Bhargavi Seshadri. Bhargavi calls herself just another girl next door with aspirations to live her life to her fullest. I think she's doing that. Brilliant article. Trupthi, she's going to perform Sold Out from Bhargavi's set.
That's long. So. It's called Sold Out. Avid readers in Chennai will at least have an acquaintance with money, or book money as he is better known. You can clearly spot him even amongst 100 heads in the busy roads of T-Nagar. Money runs a small shop by the platform where he sells books of every kind. He hits when someone says that he sells pirated books. Well, his business doesn't work that way. His dealer runs an agency where many young people meticulously type away the contents of bestsellers, which in turn are printed in recycled paper and get sandwiched between cheap color prints of the original cover. As far as money is concerned, he can't be called stealing. It can't be called stealing when the contents of the book and the author's name are kept intact. So he believes in yelling out, foreign books in local trades. Born in a very remote village, Mani studied only till 10th grade. Little did he know that the language he loathed the most at that time would become the source of his income. Like every other boy from the village portrayed in cinemas, he too dreamt of going to Chennai and becoming rich. He was somehow very convinced that the city will make him into an instant millionaire. Things were different when he set out to seek a job. All he could manage was joining as an assistant to an old man in a roadside bookshop. Mani adored the man. According to him, the old man was the only living genius on earth. Mani would stare agape at the names of the books and the authors, which he couldn't even spell, but the old man suggested to his customers. Slowly, he started learning the trade. First, he learned to recognize the name of authors by the covers. Then he learned to pronounce their names. Then he went on to guess the authors' names from the title of the books. The old man passed away and made Money and his son-in-law owners of their shop. Yes, in that order. Years rolled by, and Money expanded his business to a level that his petty shop had many regular customers. He attracted a lot of them by his marketing skills. No, he didn't get preschooled, nor did he do any research on customers' buying patterns. He made business by his instincts. He would cajole the kids with picturesque books, summon a lot of romantic and poetic books in front of wide-eyed teenagers, suggested Fitzgerald, Sheldon et al. To adults, and pleased a few elderly customers by brandishing works of Shakespeare, Tagore, and Raza. He also had very typical customers who went to buy books on sensitive topics like communism, world politics, and feminism, with whom he would always manage to strike a conversation. When the exam season arrived, he would promptly fill up his stall with question banks, entrance exam material, and motivational books. The level of expertise he gained in knowing who wanted what didn't come in a day. Day and night, he lived with the books, understood on what they were for, though he didn't have a clue about the contents. After being the master and the slave for his own shop all through the day, he would rush back home to his 11-year-old. She meant the world to him. Money wanted her to become a famous author, and would often fall asleep dreaming about the day he would sell the books his daughter would write. Look at her beautiful handwriting. She is going to be one of the greatest writers of her time, he would explain to his wife. His wife would innocently ask how women can ever become writers. He would laugh and say, "Silly, illiterate lady, I sell books written by a lady called Arun. People love her writing, and they say that she has won some prestigious award for her work. Our daughter will become the next Arundhati," he would say, gleaming with pride. Times had changed, and Money noticed a steady decrease in the number of customers he had. People gave many reasons. A professor, one of his regular customers, told him that something called internet had made the world smaller, and people can just buy e-books by clicking a button. "What is internet? A book creating machine?" he asked quizzically to the professor. He laughed and replied that internet is a mechanism that allows people across the globe to connect in a matter of minutes. Money actually never understood what internet was and how it was pulling away customers from him. All he knew was a kid by the name Ankit Fadia writes books about it, and many young bespectacled boys would buy them. He again got lost in the dreams of his daughter becoming like Ankit Fadia one day. One afternoon, the professor came rushing to his shop, asking for some copies written by Maria Covey, a new British writer who was creating waves with her prowess. He asked Money if he could help him. Luckily, Money was about to receive very few copies. He understood the professor's urgency and promised him that he would be ready with the copies in 2 days. With tremendous effort, he got those books and carried them home to sell to the professor the next morning. His daughter got excited looking at those books, as his father never had the habit of bringing fresh books home. She started skimming through those, and Money looked at his wife with pride. Next morning, when he woke up and got ready to leave for work, he noticed one of the books lying open, and when he was about to close it, he noticed a scribble in the front page. He immediately thought that his daughter had written something last night and got very angry. He yelled at her, and without waiting for an explanation from her side spanter, he bustled out of the house in anger with his thoughts so jammed with what he was going to tell the professor regarding the mess. "Shall I tear off that page?" he thought, but discarded it as it would not be good to see a book without the first page. He was sitting at the edge of his chair without his usual enthusiasm, silently praying that the professor should not notice. The professor came and asked for the book. Money hesitated at first and gave those books, praying intensely. But to his horror, the professor turned the pages of that exact book and stopped midway while turning that page. He stood there with his eyes transfixed over the scribble. Money cursed all the gods and was so worried he was about to lose a very valuable customer. "Is this true?" the professor hissed, without shifting his gaze from the book. "I'm sorry, sir," Money admitted. "My daughter, a playful girl, scribbled this last night. I wasn't aware of it until this morning. She is a nice girl otherwise. Please give me some time. We'll get you a new one in a day," he said pleadingly. The professor lifted his head up, gave a sarcastic look at Money and said, "You silly fellow, You know this is the signature of Maria Kovi herself. A copy of the book with her original sign is such a rare possession to acquire. How did you get such a treasure? Mani was stunned and started blabbering. Tell me more, how much do you want for this book? The professor asked. Mani could hardly believe his ears. I don't want anything, sir, he said. You stupid fellow, the professor said. Take this. And thrust a 500 rupee note in Mani's hand and said, if you find any other book like this, please give it to me, and went off. Mani sat there speechless. Guilt filled him throughout, and he rushed home after buying his daughter's favorite chocolates. When Mani reached home, he found his daughter still crying, and as soon as she saw him, she came running, flung her arms around and said, Appa, trust me, I didn't do anything to that book. Mani said, I am so sorry, dear, it was my mistake. Here, take these. His daughter was overjoyed, and after some time, she slept in his arms. When Mani's wife came to him and asked what had happened, he told her the story and said, see that Maria Kovi's signature was so much like our daughter's. She will become the next Maria.